For most of the 20th century, archaeologists believed they understood exactly how and when humans expanded across the planet. The story was linear, cautious, and constrained entirely by what we could hold in our hands. Every timeline of human migration relied on durable macroscopic artifacts. If a migration route existed, researchers expected to find physical proof left behind, like fire pits, bones, or hand-chipped stone tools. This created a strict boundary for historical timelines. Organic material disappears, water dissolves evidence, and predators scatter remains. If an entire population passed through a landscape, but the environment dissolved their skeletons, the record vanished with them. Then scientists started looking at the dirt itself. Inside cave sites long dismissed as archaeologically empty, researchers found fragments of ancient human DNA suspended directly in the soil. Every human continuously shed cells. Skin flakes, hair, and bodily fluids drop microscopic biological debris into the ground with every step. Normally, heat, oxygen, and ultraviolet radiation tear those molecular bonds apart almost immediately. But certain caves offer highly unusual environments. Deep chambers isolated from sunlight maintain extremely low oxygen levels and constant freezing temperatures, effectively hitting pause on that molecular destruction. Relying exclusively on large physical remains gave us a false sense of historical certainty. We were missing entire chapters of human existence simply because the chemistry didn't survive in the open air. This chart maps the mathematical relationship between temperature and molecular decay. As temperatures drop, the rate of DNA fragmentation exponentially decreases. Hydrolysis and oxidation are suppressed by reduced molecular motion. At near zero temperatures, the biological clock practically stops. This kinetic model proves that molecular fragments can persist for hundreds of thousands of years, far longer than early geneticists calculated, provided they are shielded in the right thermal environment. Humanity's timeline is a direct reflection of thermal geography, a record of where the laws of thermodynamics allowed us to be detected. Extracting this data requires highly sensitive modern sequencing technology. Researchers no longer need intact genomes. They can reconstruct genetic signatures from microscopic, damaged fragments, sometimes shorter than 50 base pairs. Computational models then analyze these tiny sequences, statistically comparing the damaged pieces against known reference genomes from modern humans, extinct hominins, and local wildlife to establish species identity. But this sensitivity introduces a massive problem: contamination. A single stray breath or a shed skin cell from a modern scientist can instantly overwrite thousands of years of ancient molecular data. To protect the dirt, laboratories implemented strict biohazard containment protocols. Excavation and extraction now involve full-body protective suits, ultraviolet sterilization, and negative air pressure rooms. Recovering ancient history now paradoxically requires completely isolating the past from the biological pollution of the present. One of the clearest examples of this process took place in Siberia, deep in the Altai Mountains. Inside Denisova Cave, researchers found layers of dirt preserving molecular traces from multiple distinct human populations, spanning enormous stretches of time. Scientists carefully extracted sediment cores layer by layer. Because deeper dirt is older dirt, this method preserved the strict chronological order of the deposits. To date these layers, they used optically stimulated luminescence, measuring trapped electrons inside mineral grains to calculate when the dirt last saw sunlight. The dates extracted showed modern humans, Neanderthals, and Denisovans occupying overlapping layers at the same time. Molecular stratigraphy took the clean, orderly replacement models of human history and collapsed them into a messy web of coexistence and interbreeding. These overlapping timelines align directly with paleoclimate records. As massive glacial ice sheets expanded, climate dictated where these populations could move and collide. Trapping enormous volumes of water in continental ice caused global sea levels to plummet by over 100 meters, exposing sweeping land bridges like Beringia. These temporary climate windows opened vast coastal migration corridors, bringing separated human species together to interbreed before rising oceans eventually submerged the roots again. The results of those encounters are still visible. Neanderthal DNA persists in many modern non-African lineages, while Denisovan genetic material survives strongly in Melanesian and Asian populations. We are partly composed of ghosts. Extinct populations who built no monuments or enduring architecture continue to survive as genetic echoes carried inside living people. In modern archaeology, the absence of physical evidence is no longer evidence of absence. Whole societies may have temporarily occupied regions without leaving durable materials behind. This concept extends far beyond mountain caves. Scientists are now applying environmental DNA reconstruction to open coastal environments and permafrost to rebuild vanished worlds from trace molecular debris. Deep ice cores and lake sediments act as biological hard drives. By reading the organic data trapped inside, researchers can track ancient ecosystem collapses, document human arrivals, and map the spread of historical diseases. This reveals a deep preservation bias in how we understand our past. Our history is naturally incomplete because the physical environment actively erases genetic records in warm, wet, and tropical climates, while selectively preserving them in the cold. This method requires extreme caution. A young DNA fragment can be dragged down by groundwater or animal activity, contaminating older, deeper sediment layers and scrambling the timeline. But despite the strict demands of statistical interpretation and dating uncertainty, the trajectory is undeniable. The human story is becoming older, messier, and far less certain than we once taught. For centuries, we searched for our origins by looking for towering monuments and the heavy, visible marks of civilization. The map of our past is a survival filter imposed by physics. Our deepest history was never written in stone. It was written in chemistry.